Did you know the most valuable truck you can own isn't on a dealership lot? It's the 20-year-old truck already sitting in your driveway. New trucks are pushing past $85,000, and some of the most popular engines on the market are already breaking down years ahead of schedule. While recalls are shattering industry records, the old truck everyone told you to get rid of is now going up in value. You won't believe what else your truck has been hiding from you. Start with what a new truck actually costs today. A loaded full-size pickup routinely clears $85,000 now. And that is not a rare, fully optioned outlier. That is a normal trim level. Step down to something simpler, cloth seats, no frills, and you're still deep into the $60,000 range. Go as basic as the manufacturer allows. And you're around $45,000 for a truck with none of the extras your grandfather's work truck didn't have either. Adjust a mid-1990s base truck for inflation, and it lands close to $30,000 in today's money. That means the cheapest new truck available right now costs roughly 50% more than an inflation-adjusted truck from 30 years ago, for a fraction of the mechanical simplicity. Toyota isn't cheaper either. Even their entry-level Tundra starts well into the 50s, and the upper trims push past $75,000 for an engine that's been recalled 3 separate times. These aren't fringe numbers from a luxury trim nobody buys. This is what a normal, working truck costs a normal family right now. Here's what no dealership puts on the window sticker. The moment you sign and drive off the lot, the truck loses roughly a fifth of its value instantly. On an $80,000 truck, that's somewhere around $16,000 gone before you've made a single payment. And the debt doesn't stay put, while the truck's value falls out from under it. To manage payments on trucks this expensive, buyers are stretching loans further than ever. 72-month terms now make up the largest single share of new truck financing, and 84-month loans, 7 full years, keep climbing too. Longer loans mean the balance comes down slower than the truck's value does, which is exactly how so many owners end up underwater. Right now, nearly 3 in 10 new vehicle trade-ins in America are underwater, meaning the owner owes more than the truck is worth, and the average gap has hit a record high, north of $6,000, with buyers carrying negative equity paying interest rates well above the norm on top of it. Total auto debt in this country just crossed $1.68 trillion. Tundra owners specifically are rolling an average of almost $9,000 in leftover debt straight into their next loan. Money owed on a truck that's already gone. Picture that moment at the dealership. You think you're trading up, and instead you're told you still owe thousands on a truck sitting on the lot behind you, one you'll never drive again. That's not a rare, unlucky story anymore. That's happening to almost a third of buyers, on trucks that are, on average, only about 4 years old. Flip that around. A clean, well-maintained truck from the late 90s or early 2000s already took that hit decades ago. There's nothing left to lose. That's exactly why the market for those trucks has been quietly climbing for years. Collectors, mechanics, and farmers noticed first, and now everyday buyers are catching on too. Trucks that were selling for a few $1,000s not long ago are now worth 2 or 3 times that. That's not nostalgia. That's a truck appreciating while a brand new one depreciates before its first oil change. Buy new, and a bank owns a piece of that truck for 6 or 7 years, sometimes longer. Buy old, and you own it outright from day one, which means nobody can ever tell you it's not paid off, and nobody can ever come take it because a payment got missed. Now here's the part manufacturers really don't want you thinking about. New trucks are breaking down at a rate that should worry anyone signing a check this size. Across the industry, major automakers issued more than 360 recalls in a single recent year, touching over 24 million vehicles combined. Ford alone accounted for a huge share of that, issuing more than 150 recalls, a genuine industry record, more than double the previous record any automaker had ever hit. Toyota's story is worse. The twin-turbo V6 that replaced their old, famously bulletproof V8 has now been through 3 separate recalls, covering well over 250,000 trucks and SUVs, all for the same defect: manufacturing debris damaging the main bearing until the engine knocks, loses power, or quits outright. And GM isn't sitting this one out either. Nearly 600,000 of their full-size trucks and SUVs were recalled over a V8 that can seize or send pistons through the engine block with no warning. Think about what that actually means for the person behind the wheel. You didn't buy a truck expecting to become a case study. You bought it expecting to load it up, tow with it, hand it down to your kid someday. Compare that to a well-maintained engine from the 90s. No turbo, no cylinder deactivation, no 10-speed transmission, trying to micromanage every combustion event, just simple, overbuilt mechanics doing exactly what they were designed to do. That's why those trucks are still out there every day, starting without complaint, while trucks a few years old sit at the dealership waiting on back-ordered parts. This channel breaks down what is actually happening under the hood before the recall notice shows up in your mailbox. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Pop the hood on a modern truck, and you will find plastic covers over everything, sensors monitoring other sensors, and emissions hardware stacked on top of it all. Some trucks now require lifting the cab off the frame just to reach certain repairs. A single high-pressure fuel component on a modern diesel can run into the thousands of dollars, and when it fails, it can send debris through the entire fuel system, turning what should have been a simple part swap into a full system overhaul. Even something as basic as a tailgate has become an engineering project. Split opening designs with multiple hinges and latches that cost hundreds of dollars and need a specialist the moment they break. Open the hood on a truck from the 80s or the 90s, and everything is right there. The alternator, the belts, the spark plugs, all within reach. A starter swap is 2 bolts and 30 minutes. A tailgate is a handle and 2 hinges. These trucks were built on the assumption the owner might actually want to work on them. That wasn't an accident. Here's something most owners never think to ask. Does your truck already know where you've been? For a lot of newer trucks, the answer is yes, and it is more real than most owners ever found out. Between 2020 and 2024, General Motors quietly sold detailed driving data: acceleration, hard braking, speed, location, from millions of connected vehicles to 2 data companies, LexisNexis and Verisk, who then resold that data to insurance companies. General Motors pocketed roughly $20 million from those sales nationwide. One of the owners caught in it was a man named Romeo Chico, who bought a new Cadillac XT6 in Florida. He never activated OnStar. He never agreed to any driver monitoring program. And when he tried to buy car insurance, he was turned down, then turned down again, with no clear reason given. When he finally obtained the report behind the denials, it contained 258 separate logged driving events, timestamps, braking events, acceleration events, mileage, all pulled from his own vehicle and passed along to a company he had never heard of. His insurance rates nearly doubled. He had not caused an accident. He had not gotten a ticket. He had just driven his own truck, the way it was built to be driven, and the data followed him into a decision he never got to see coming or contest until the damage was already done. A New York Times investigation eventually exposed the practice. General Motors shut the program down, and regulators in California and at the federal level have since forced settlements and new consent requirements. But that only happened because it became a national story. For years before that, owners had no idea it was happening at all. An old truck can't do that to you. No cellular connection, no background reporting. It is just a machine doing its job, with no idea where you are and no interest in finding out. New truck sales are slowing. Inventory is sitting on lots longer than it used to, and manufacturers are leaning harder on incentives to move it. The market is sending a signal, and the signal is that people are catching on. For years, automakers convinced buyers that newer automatically meant better, safer, smarter. The cracks in that argument are showing now, sometimes literally, through a cracked engine block, sometimes quietly, through a debt you didn't know you were carrying, and sometimes invisibly through data you never agreed to share in the first place. Your old truck was never a liability. It's an asset that already earned its value, that owes nothing to anyone, and that isn't reporting a single mile of it to anybody. Drop a comment with what your old truck is and how many miles it's still got left in it.